could start with the no beat toss instead on the front plane. I think that's an easier place to start, where if you just start, imagine you're in a butterfly, an underhand opposite butterfly, and you're moving your hand up and down on the front plane. So that's, yes, exactly, underhand like that. And then what you're gonna do is, at that point where your hand starts coming up on the ascension, right, you release and then you catch. You release and then you catch, or you don't catch. Yeah, you release and you catch, and you release and you catch, and you release and you catch. Okay, now tips and tricks. If you release, okay, I'm gonna demonstrate for you with the back of you intentionally. If you release and your poi flies off like that, you released too late, right? So if it goes over the top too far, then you release too late. And in the other direction, if you release too soon, it goes that way, right? So what you're shooting for is a release on as the hand is coming up. If you imagine that butterfly, like you're doing a linear extension, and you come up with your hand. I mean, and also, you know, it may be helpful to do tosses for the first time seriously in an outdoor space where you're not worried about hitting anything inside. Like, because the concern is real. I'm making this look, oh, that's not a problem. Oh, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. But that is not how you necessarily feel in a space where you're confined, where you might have a TV, where you might have a screen, where you might have windows, where you might have lights. There's a lot to manage. No, the conservatism makes perfect sense. That's you're having a rational response to something that is, you don't know how it's going to work, and you can't know without trying it how much force it takes, which just makes it more complicated. All the things. I'm trying to validate your experience. When you did your release, you did a big one. You did a big extension like this, and then you released really big up into the air. And not like how I just did. I released in a controlled release. You did more like that, right? So what I would say, before you even do the release, just start with the hand doing these really tight circles here. Underhand, yes. And then if you can imagine the midline of your body and your hand tracing up and down the line of the midline of the body, right? So less of this, you're not tracing the circle, and more of this, you're going up and down and up and down. Yes, yes, yes. You feel how much tighter that is? Okay, now as you consider the tightness of it, what I want you to do is feel into the bottom of the turn, and you're especially trying to feel from the bottom of the turn at 6 o'clock to the 3 o'clock point. And as it's approaching your 3 o'clock, you're going to try and focus on when it's horizontal here, releasing at that point, and then just catching, releasing at the horizontal and catching. You continue with refinement of that process, right? You have to do enough of them to get a sense, and have it so that it's continuing this basic same circle with the same center point roughly, if that makes sense, right? So it's almost as if, wow, did your hand really leave the poi? It's really subtle. It's very gentle. It's a very nuanced little toss. One of the pieces of coaching I like to give people when they're learning tosses is it's really hard to feel like you suck at it for a long time. So the way to help yourself is to play a little game. So if, for example, you do 10 tosses and you caught one of them in one practice, okay, 10%, okay, whatever. Maybe the next practice, you caught 3 of them. Now, 3 still sucks objectively, right? But you went from 10% to 30%, which is massive improvement. I mean, if you think about money in the bank, going from, 10% gain to a 30% gain, I think you'd be pretty happy, right? So from the perspective of your learning experience, what I would recommend is noting, if you're still keeping a flow journal, and if you're not, maybe restart, just noting in your practices so that you have like a realistic sense. And then I would, instead of doing 10, I would recommend trying to do something more like 50 or 100, and then once you start getting the feel of it, then you can start looking at things like, okay, I did 1 in a row. I did 2 in a row. Oh, no, I did 1 in a row. Oh, well, okay, can I do 2 in a row, right? And then you continue to refine the technique. And then for this particular technique, I know you can't put it together now, something to play with for the future. So you're doing your left hand and underhand, right? So I'm going to show you front view. One thing that I think is pretty fun to do with this one, you know the pinwheel. From the pinwheel, what you can do is bring it down, do the toss, do the catch, and go back into the pinwheel. Come down, toss, catch, and you'll notice this other hand just stays here and does a rotation while the hand that's doing the toss releases the poi, so that my right hand is going around the left one, right? And that's, yeah. And another thing that you could do with that same one is, now this is a slightly different feel because you'd be doing the same basic toss, but you'd be doing it on the side plane rather than on the front plane. This is where I'm gonna put it into the weave, right? So I'm here in my weave, and then I'm gonna do the toss, and then go back into my weave. Do the toss and go back into my weave. So those are two, I don't know, I don't want to say beginner, because I wouldn't call this necessarily a beginner technique, but I think they're good ways to integrate the toss into your flow in a way that's approachable and doesn't require you learning a whole bunch of new tricks to get some toss in there. And then if you get really confident with it, you could do something like a hip reel and then toss under the leg, right? So that's just, you know, one technique that you can just continue to make more and more crazy and fun.